the Swet Shop Boys. Have you, Riz? Like your career is on like this crazy upswing moment right now, and I know you've been like working forever and like trying to get here, but everything is like hit all at once with Rogue One coming out and the night of and the Bourne movie and everything. Is it tough for you to go back to Swet Shop Boys after that, or do you go like, I have to focus on this?
No, it's a pleasure and it's my priority, really. I mean, that's what I'm here in New York doing. The whole of November we're touring, and it's not even so much go back to Swet Shop Boys, because Swet Shop Boys is something that's come to fruition for the first time right now. Heems and I actually connected when I was researching for the night of. I had to play a character from Queens.
Right.
So Heems hit me up. And on Twitter, like a while ago before that. And when I got there, I was like, oh yeah, that guy, that rapper from Queens. I'll link up with him. So we clicked right away. You know, we've got a lot in common. The way we see the world, our backgrounds, our kind of life stories in a way almost. We're just on opposite sides of the Atlantic. So we connected right away, and we've been recording a little bit on and off over those last couple of years, but we really put the album together with our producer, Redinho, this May. We did the whole thing in 5 days. And
wow.
Yeah, we worked pretty quickly.
That's how they used to be recorded. Like in 1971, like Sabbath did their first album in like 12 hours. Like people didn't fuck around back then. It's a good way to save money.
Especially because before it was digital. It was like you were paying for studio time, you were paying for tape, you were paying for all this stuff. So it was like get it done quickly as possible.
Exactly. This time we're paying the price of of Heems' anger if we don't finish by lunchtime. So it's just as expensive.
I like to get in there and get it done quick, you know.
Yeah.
So you're not like a million take dude. You like a couple and then you're done.
Nah, I just try to get it done quick and try not to think about it too much and try not to listen to it later and try not to remember it for stage shows and just
Wow, that's exactly how I look at my act.
He doesn't even like listening. He just likes finishing.
Yeah. That was a direct studio quote. It was yeah. I don't like listening.
Like a really inconsiderate lover. Just likes finishing, not listening.
Exactly. Yeah, clean off your face on the way out the door.
So there's no like, there's no going back and being like, oh, I think I could do that word better, or let me try to do that line better.
That's me. That's the difference between me and him. So I'm like that guy who literally stays up till 4 a.m. the next day after we finish the album going, guys, I think I mispronounced that word. And Heems is like, meanwhile, already cooking up like, a 3-course meal for us, like going, what track?
Yeah, but you need that, though. You need a balance of one guy who's obsessed with it and then the other guy who's like, dude, relax, it's good. Because then you find the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely, and I always joke that these guys are the yin and yang. Even though they got a lot of commonalities, they are very different personalities as well.
So
no, he's just sizing us up right now.
Yeah, but that makes sense, though.
They're both wearing white caps and have brown skin. I mean, how different can
the brown
they be,
skin
right?
part I didn't notice, but thanks for mentioning it.
Oh, we're colorblind in this studio.
Yes, we only see souls. By the way, I got to say, the Four Lions, fucking
amazing.
Thank you,
genius, man.
Thank you so much.
So good to take to take such a hard subject to be funny about and make such a hilarious fucking film. I mean, that was just awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. Well, yeah, I mean, that kind of combination of humor with politics is something that I think isn't done enough because people are sometimes scared to do it. And actually, it's a really great way of Trojan horsing some humanity into conversations that become polarizing and stale. And that's really kind of what we're doing with Swet Shop Boys as well. It really is kind of a political album, but it's got a lot of jokes on it. It's a lot of fun. Redinho's beats are really hype. So in that same kind of way, we hope it walks that line between slightly comic and absurd, but like political and hard hitting as well. So,
do you ever worry that, or do you think in terms of, okay, if I say something that somebody doesn't like on this album, are they going to cast me in this movie? You know what I mean? Like when you're dealing with political stuff, as fickle as Hollywood is, and as much goes into casting that doesn't necessarily have to do with the acting, does that worry you?
Well, I think 2 points really. First of all, that ship has sailed a long time ago. I mean, my first track was called the Post 9/11 Blues, and it was banned on British radio.
Why was it banned?
Because it had rhymes like, post 9/11, getting around can cost you some cash. It costs 12 dead Iraqis for a gallon of gas. And, you know, that kind of thing. It was like gallows humor. You know, we're all suspects, so watch your back, because I farted and got arrested for a chemical attack. This kind of thing.
Why would they ban that though? That's
Thank you. You should be the controller of the BBC. I've always said this about you.
I like BBC.
When did that come out, though?
That was 2006. And,
Okay, so it's like it's a little bit removed. It's
Yeah, it was 5 years later.
removed
5 years
from 9/11.
After 9/11.
Okay, well, I thought you were like, what
You know
year
that
are you guys
thing
living in?
that-
We're
with
2016,
buildings?
guys. We're 2016, right? Like that was 5 years ago. These guys are so high. Wow. I mean, look. First of all, I've been kind of, speaking my mind about stuff, and the thing is, I've spoken my mind the whole way through my career, and I like to think I do it in a kind of humorous way, a thoughtful way, in a way that brings people in rather than alienating them and pissing them off. I'm not getting up on a soapbox and giving anyone a lecture. So, I think people respect if you have opinions as long as they're well thought through and put across in a considered way.
If you do it through your work, yeah, that's what's great when an artist does it through their work. Whether it's through like I don't know if Chris wrote Four Lions, but whoever, did he write it?
Well, he wrote it with Sam Bain and Jesse Armstrong, who write on Veep, and who also wrote Peep Show. So they're kind of comedy legends. Yeah. For American listeners who don't know Chris Morris, he's kind of like the Kaiser Soze of British comedy. He's, he's like this mythical dark knight who kind of sweeps in and out, causes controversy, and then bounces for a decade.
Yeah, he did that big thing about that, like some fake pedophile documentary or something, or whatever
Eye.
news. What was it?
Yeah.
That was Brass Eye. Yeah, a real cult kind of series that he did.
Yeah.
And when he just drops it and then retreats, so
Well, yeah,
like
that episode was called Peter-geddon. Something like that.
It's a fake news show called Peter Geddon, which Heems is going to freestyle about now.
No.
You also probably like have to be okay to talk about this stuff. Like if you bring something up, whether it's in on a record or in an interview or whatever it is, you'd have to be okay to talk about it. We had Nancy Grace in here. You know Nancy Grace before you came in, and she walked out within 7 minutes because
12.
Was it 12?
That's yeah.
Well, she walked out after 12 minutes.
This
because
guy was making the BBC jokes again.
I couldn't help
Leave
it.
her alone, man. Such a bully. Get your hand off my leg. No, but I think that's the first thing is that, yeah, you do it through work, do it thoughtfully, people respect it. But I also think, look, if there's a kind of film franchise or a network or some kind of, platform that is so sensitive and so anti-controversy that they don't let people have opinions, then they're probably not going to cast someone like me anyway who doesn't fit the mold.
Right.
I'm already kind of find myself kind of on the periphery of what is the standard mold of casting because I'm not a white dude, 6'2", blonde hair, blue eyes. So I'm already kind of like in a kind of political position just by being me and looking like me, being born into a certain body in a certain space and time.
Right.
So politics has already landed on my doorstep from day one. So it's like...
So when you get
what
cast...
it's not like I'm going out of my way to be political. That's something you inhabit anyway.
And how like controversial is it really to be like, I'm a brown dude and these are my experiences? It's not. I mean, the fact that we're even talking about it as something that could jeopardize the career. What's so crazy about it?
No, you're right.
Stop talking about your experiences. There's no place for that in art.
But you don't like when you get cast in Star Wars, for example, you're not like Disney. Like, have you looked into like everything I've done? You're sure we're going to do this, right?
But why do you think that the head of Disney will be calling me up saying, listen, could you turn the dial down on the brown? I mean, like, I can't
Disney
do that
doesn't
physically.
necessarily like-
what is that? I mean, how is...
It's never the head. It's always somebody, but there's always somebody panicky at networks.
Yes.
It's never the head guy. They
listen,
actually hear about it when
I
it's
have to
already
say-
down the road, the controversy.
all the guys at Lucasfilm are amazing. Kathy Kennedy. I mean, look, these are the guys who decided that the next Star Wars film, Rogue One, is populated by a lead role of a girl, a second lead of a Hispanic dude, and the supporting cast is Forrest Whitaker, a black dude, me, a Pakistani, 2 Chinese dudes, and a robot. So it's pretty diverse.
Right.
So
Thank
it's
God they
like-
got that robot in.
Yeah, I know. The robot lobby would be pissed.
Yeah, totally.
What is Forrest Whitaker doing? Who's he playing?
Um,
Or are you not allowed to say?
Well, I'm probably not allowed to say it, but like the quickest Google would tell you. So
I try not to.
I feel like I just shouldn't tell you because you should have researched that.
No, you know what it is? I never Google a guest. I'm the lie. I just wanted to sound like I had a method. Not knowing that. I wanted to sound like there was like an artistic reason for me not knowing that.
Like Larry
lazy.
King stuff, like, no, I do no research. It's part of my method. And you're like, no.
I want to really. My goal here in life is to try and get Heems into a Star Wars movie because I feel like he'd bring a lot to the table.
Do you want to act, Heems?
He does act.
I do like a little
fine
bit
actor.
of stuff here and there, but more than anything, I just want to play a guy that gets shakedown for information on like a Law and Order episode. Yeah, I feel
been
like
practicing for that
once
for a
I would
while.
do that, it would be like, yeah, I see him sometimes. Gin and tonic sits over there. Like, that's the extent of that's what I'm aiming for. So.
That's your bucket list.
Yeah,
but I don't know if you'd be very effective in the Death Star. You know, it's like they're coming. Gives a shit.
Yeah. I have to move this box, and I have to turn around and grab this drink. And
Were you fans of those films growing up? It's such a stupid question, but it's like, you know, my generation was, because I'm 48. But, you know, it's like, do younger people, like, you know, watch those or do they not hold up?
Yeah, no, they definitely hold up. It's kind of part of our shared, like, you know, heritage. It's just you know, it's film mythology. Everyone's kind of schooled in it. I remember it was the first film that I saw, like, kind of watching them on VHS, you know, with my big brother. I didn't have a clue what was going on, but I remembered, you know, those AT-ATs and, you know, those little Ewoks and the gold bikini and the, you know, I remembered all those things. And I was just like, wow.
It really does. It introduces you to animals, to machines, to sexuality. Like, it's all in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, to good and bad.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I just want to be a part of that moment.
To good and bad.
I didn't have anything. I just wanted to throw something in so people go, you hear all the guys talking? Yeah.
Yeah. You said the good and bad guy. He was.
Yeah.
That guy's got morals.
He was good at that.
He pointed out something no one thought of.
Do you think the culture that we're in right now it lends itself to a good time for you guys to be putting music out, specifically with Trump and everything that he's been saying?
I mean, it's weird because we people have been saying how timely the album is, but we kind of deal in these things, think about these things, live through these things all the time, and it's kind of unfortunate that it's timely,
right?
But it's a reality for us all the time. It just so happens that we made this album, the same stuff that we've been working on for 4 years, and then this happens in America, and that happens in the UK with Brexit, and even you know, him being Pakistani, myself being Indian. There's a lot going on in India and Pakistan right now too that makes the album somewhat timely, but for us it's just a constant reality, and now it seems to be getting more media attention, and then it might die down for like a year or two and then it'll pop back up, but that's just the media attention. The reality of it is consistent.
You have a fucking phenomenal radio voice, by the way.
Thank you.
Phenomenal voice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Riz, how did
It's
you...
my morning voice.
No, it's good.
away.
It's a really good bass. My voice is fucking horrible, and his is worse.
It's the
You have a
worst.
killer voice.
I know, I'm very envious of it. Anytime I hear anybody that can like speak, and I want to listen to that guy. He sounds like he can speak with authority. Like, it doesn't matter what you're saying. Like, it's just like, yeah, I trust him. I trust him.
That's the really
This is a good show.
No, but it's nice. We're two mousy douchebags verbally.
Yeah. Riz, how did you react to Brexit being passed?
Well, you know,
No pressure.
I just found that it was sad. No, I was just thinking, do we need to give people a little bit of context of who the fuck we are and what we're talking about here with the album? With like Swet Shop Boys was me and Heems and Redinho. Right. He's Indian from Queens, New York. I'm Pakistani from London. So it's like a cross-border, cross-cultural thing. Redinho, amazing producer, works with people like Hudson Mohawk, all this kind of stuff. And pulled together this palette of like Indian, you know, Pakistani sounds mixed with grime and hip-hop and trap music and dance music.
And we did, by the way, we were playing one of your tracks before you came in. That's what it was for the listeners at home.
Right, cool. And so the album is called Cashmere, and it is I guess a kind of, you know, we're living in a time when people are forcing you to choose. You're either this or that.
Right.
You're either for us or against us. You're left or right, you know. And this is a kind of celebration of like people who are mixed up and are kind of in between spaces, which is why the album talks a lot about airports. You know, when you're in that kind of in-between space and people are judging you for it. I think airports are kind of good example of that.
But the reason I brought up Brexit is because it seemed like we have a possibility of a very similar thing happening with Trump here. Because it seemed like all the people that I've spoken to that didn't want it to be passed didn't think it was going to get passed. Like, they were all just like, no, of course it won't get passed, of course it won't. And then, you know, you wake up and boom, there it is, it's passed, it's done, it's approved, we're good. And people were like shocked by that, which I found kind of fascinating, because usually you kind of can gauge which direction a vote is moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's first one lesson to learn from Brexit for the Americans is make sure you get out and vote, particularly young people. I think like, a quarter of young people actually went and voted.
Right.
And like, I think over 80% of young people wanted to stay in the EU, and it would have swung the vote. So get out and vote, because I think the fact is probably a lot more people want to vote for Trump than are admitting it right now. I mean, I don't know. I'm not American. Do you kind of see that on?
I mean, those are the parallels that have been made.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the underlying idea is like, I know this is racist, so I don't want anybody to know that I know this is racist. But when I'm in that booth alone, I'm going to vote for Brexit or Trump.
Right.
I don't
right.
think I don't think it's necessarily racist to vote for him. I'm still undecided, and I know it's not. But I don't think it's racist.
As an example of what the reasoning being, all right, people associate him with this, so I don't want people to know I'm going to vote for him.
Societally,
and
it's
whatever.
like,
for me, it might be racism, but whatever that point or whatever,
Okay.
he's offered many ways to offend people.
Yeah, he
so,
has.
you can pick and choose at this point.
But I'm interested to hear, because this is something I hear from other people. They kind of put up this moral equivalence between the two, as if like, well, Hillary's kind of corrupt too. Yeah, I guess she's probably as dodgy as any seasoned politician who has had to cut deals and be in public life for that amount of time has been. But we're not talking about a level of corruption where we're talking about like someone who strategically bankrupts himself time and time again just to rob from people, who has been taken to court for refusing to sell condos to black people, has like several allegations of sexual assault. A recording's just come out of him saying he wants to grab pussy and move on bitches. Like, at what point, and he calls Mexicans rapists, he wants to do a kind of Holocaust-style registration of Muslims. I mean, at what point do we go, yeah, maybe that guy's a little bit more messed up than the others?
He's no more messed up than the rest of them, I don't think. Honestly, because I find most of them in that world could be repulsive.
Can you name me anyone else who has got that particular gourmet collection of crazy shit?
Hillary's husband has been accused of rape. He was our president. He's been accused of rape. I mean, Bill Clinton.
Has Hillary been accused of rape?
No, but I'm just saying.
And has he been accused of rape by loads of different people?
Trump's never been accused of rape. He's never been accused of rape. Bill Clinton
harassment.
has. Yes,
Bill
he has.
Clinton's
But so
been
has Bill
accused.
Clinton. The point I'm making is this: she took the moral stance, and I thought she did well in the debate. But she took the moral stance of that's who Trump is. He's not fit. But it's like if that makes you unfit, then how are you not calling out your own husband who used to? And again, I don't have any problem with him doing that. But it's like you can't take the moral high road on one and then ignore. Like, do you know he bashed her husband, who's going to be the first gentleman? She didn't even defend her husband. It's almost like, doesn't that call into question her judgment?
And she's been accused of threatening the
They're all shitty
women.
on that. The only one, like morally, the Obamas, I don't think behave that way. I think Obama's got a very clean sexual history. But for him, it was, how could you be friends with Jeremiah Wright? How could you? There's always a bunch of shitty connections and shitty things in their past. Trump is just not a seasoned politician. So he hasn't learned how to beautifully talk his way out of it. The rest of them have amazingly smooth, palatable and malleable answers. He doesn't have those.
I mean,
he just spits
he
dumb
uses
shit
the
out.
language of a fifth grader, so it's easy
Sometimes he does,
easy to appeal to a larger group of people when your words are as simple as this thing is good, but that thing is bad.
Well, there is something about that when you're used to people. Like the problem we have with most politicians is that you never feel like you know where any of them stand, good or bad. Like the issue is, I don't believe any of them.
Yeah, brother. You know what? I hear you about kind of. I just want to kind of, as in from an outside of America perspective, I just want to let you know that like the argument you're making to everyone outside of America, I'm going to speak for the rest of the world, is bonkers. Comes across as bonkers because what we're talking about here is someone who is a proto-fascist. If someone gets up and says, if someone got up, a candidate got up and said, you know what, we need to register all Jews, and we're not going to let any more Jews or any more gays into the country. That's fucked up. And we go, wow, this person's following in the footsteps of Hitler. Because it says it about someone who's a group that already demonized as a kind of like legitimized hate group, we're kind of going, well, yeah, maybe we should register all Muslims. That it completely flies in the face of the fundamental principles that America is based on, which is why America is so admired and so many people want to come here, because it has this sense of openness and absorbing all that is good in the world. And by erecting those boundaries and saying, yo, if you're part from this group, we don't want you, we want to lock you up, we want to kick you out, that's not just racist, that's un-American. And to say that up front that, yo, the elections are rigged, and to call into question the legitimacy of the system just because he knows there's a risk of him losing. Again, we're talking about a proto-fascist.
Did you see what happened with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Bernie Sanders? The Democratic Party fucked consciously fuck Bernie Sanders,
Sure.
who I also liked because he felt like he was a bit
I
on the
liked him
outside.
too, yeah.
And people misread Americans on why there's something appealing about Trump. It's not about him demonizing brown people. That's not what I find appealing about him at all. It's what I
But it's
dislike.
weird that you don't find that like a complete red line through him for that reason.
Because here's what
that's not a red line he's crossed.
here's what I see that as. He is just not. He just spits stupid things out. They're reactionary things that he thinks.
So he should be president? This guy should have the nuclear codes?
Again, the nuclear codes, he's not going to push a nuclear button. He's too narcissistic to want to kill himself. He has more reason to live than Hillary.
And I
all
think
he's doing
there's
is fucking a hot woman. Hillary's husband cheated with everybody. So I think Trump's got more reason to stay alive than Hillary.
There's a bizarre...
But it's not as cut and dry as people think. Americans are not liking Trump because, he's going to boot the Mexicans out. Nobody thinks that's going to happen. Nobody wants to see Muslims registered. But he seems like some sort of an answer for the blindness of political correction. And being PC, I think, is very dishonest. And there's something that feels honest about him, even if it's wrong.
And I think that's what the honesty is what you hit on. So there's this bizarre. What I'm finding is
I just think it's weird that we're talking about someone this guy as being honest when every objective fact-checking attempt on any of his speeches, statements, claims, man, his figures are more crooked than that wig. Like like any kind of scrutiny or fact-checking under any of the statements he's made have come up as nonsense. Like at the debates, in interviews, people go, "You said this." He goes, "No, I didn't." You've got him on tape there saying it. Like, so the idea that Trump is honest is kind of bonkers to me.
Let me amend that. He's honest about the way
he's transparently dishonest.
He's he's honest about the way he feels about things. Like he's a reactionary guy. He says things, but he's honest about his opinions on things, and then you can determine what you want to do about that. Like,
I mean, I don't know. Look, ultimately, I am biased, but I mean, like, forgive me if I'm part of a kind of an ethnic group that risks being registered and exterminated by the person
nobody
you want
wants
to
to.
vote in because
Nobody
he's
wants to.
Transparently dishonest. I mean, like, cool, but I mean, I just think it's scary times.
Okay, but it's not about that. Like what people like if Obama, and again, it may be a strategic thing, so I kind of give Obama, I'm not 100% sure on why. Like they don't say Islamic terrorism because they're afraid of being offensive. And it's like it's like, what are you doing? You're not being straight about, like, if the problem was, if the problem is Italians, you say the problem is, I don't understand why that's seen as racist to just speak honestly about something. And then that's the problem. He's kind of a mirror to how bad the rest of them are. Like, I wish he was. If Bernie Sanders had gotten through, I would have a hard time choosing between Bernie and Trump. I would have a hard time. Hillary, I'm still not sure of. I still may vote for her.
Well, bro, I respect your honesty, and that's an interesting insight into, like, it just shows how disillusioned people are with the political establishment. That they're
That's exactly what it is.
They're willing to vote in a monstrous clown. So I respect your honesty there, but
is he any
I do
worse
think it's
than-
terrifying.
Yeah, I know people are scared of him, but again, Obama's a very genuine guy, and he wanted to close Guantanamo, and he couldn't get it done. George Bush, like him or hate him, was genuine about the fact he hated abortion, and he couldn't get that. And they only have so much power with checks and balances. He's not going to wreck the country. The Democrats hate him. The Republicans can't stand him. He's not going to push the button and kill everybody. But he's a great fuck you to the rest of them. That's why I like him. And maybe that's childish, but that's what I like about him.
It screws everything up. And there's also
That's what
something...
Brexit was about. It was like, well, you know what? I'm going to shoot myself in the face to piss everyone else off.
Right.
It's like the counties and the groups, socioeconomic groups that voted most heavily for Brexit are the ones that are in greatest receipt of EU funding. So they're the counties and the areas and the groups in the UK that are going to be the most financially screwed over by Brexit, are the ones who voted for it the most. And in the same way, I think if the kind of the underclass and the working class who are feeling squeezed right now by inequality, if they think that a billionaire that inherited his money and strategically went out to lost it and robbed people 6 times straight is some blue collar hero, good luck.
That's also true. Yeah, I don't believe that either. Like the fact that is how disillusioned people are with it. The fact that all of a sudden, you're right, a billionaire is seen as the guy who understands the working class. Hillary is much better, I think, for the average working class. At least I think she cares more about the average working class person. On that, yes, absolutely.
On that note, new Swet Shop Boys album is out on Friday.
Yes.